Hello and welcome to another Cybercom Gaming Comparisons. It's great to be back, and on this edition you can expect another fierce rivalry between two iconic racing game franchises. It's going to be intense, so strap yourself and come along this ride as we look to compare Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport. We've got some great feedback regarding the Resident Evil vs Silent Hill video, and we had an awesome time working on it. If you haven't checked it already, I'll link the video right now. Consider giving it a shout sometime. So kicking off this comparison, we'll be looking at a quick overview of each series, head into some visuals, controls and gameplay, then look at some general track and car selections, before we finish off with some polls, numbers, reviews and the legacy each left to ultimately get us to crown the overall winner. This is Forza Motorsport vs Gran Turismo. When it comes to modern racing games, two series stand out over all the others: Forza Motorsport and Gran Turismo, avatars for the genre for Microsoft's Xbox One and Sony's PlayStation 4 respectively. Some may argue that comparing these two series is quite unfair given Gran Turismo's emphasis on simulation and Forza Motorsport's broader gameplay options. You don't really have an arcade-like experience with Gran Turismo like you do with Forza Motorsport, but few games can match Gran Turismo's ability to simulate everything down to the finest details. If you love simulations and endless attention to detail, Gran Turismo might pull you forward, but if you're looking for a classic arcade experience on steroids, Forza Motorsport might just be the right answer for you. Again, both are solid franchises and there's probably a huge overlap between the fan bases of the two, but regardless, breaking both down and comparing certain aspects is just what we do and love. I have massive love and respect for both sides, but to us, there can only be one. Developed by Polyphony Digital and debuting with its first installment way back in '97, Gran Turismo prides itself in the recreation and simulation of real-world vehicles, licensed from the manufacturers themselves, and vowed players upon its debut with beautiful graphics and tight controls. The original game reportedly began development in 1993, taking a whopping 5 years to complete. But with all that effort into the new game, it was well worth it. Gran Turismo is one of Sony's most successful franchises, with over 80 million units sold across all Sony systems to date. Turn 10 Studios' Forza Motorsport originally hit the first Xbox in 2005 and was a smash hit for the system upon its release. Like Gran Turismo, Forza Motorsport is a simulation racing game and has licensed vehicles from real-world automobile manufacturers. It features locations across the globe, both real and imaginary, and allows players a great deal of customization with their cars, separating itself from Gran Turismo, especially in the beginning with Forza's robust multiplayer community and accessible pick-up and play style. Gran Turismo can be a commitment, while Forza encourages long and short sessions. Graphically, both series looks gorgeous and push boundaries upon each entry release, a comparison only to be made from a general observation with certain entries. For example, the original Forza Motorsport offered better graphics than other Xbox titles, but it couldn't catch up to Gran Turismo 4's slightly better lighting and less blurriness, which also appeared in Forza 2 and a bit less in 3, perhaps more deliberate, but even GT3 offered unbelievable details and graphics for the time, which were pushing the PS2 to its limits. To us, Forza Motorsport 3 really stepped up its visuals. For example, it featured a polish that Gran Turismo 5 lacked. The rocky hillsides and lush greenery easily showed up the bland, almost clinical looking cityscape of Gran Turismo. Driving slow in GT5 is like inviting disappointment. I guess they were hoping you'd always be moving fast enough to not notice the perfectly flat tree or pole textures. Plants and trees on the side of the road look like paper cutouts, and the tree trunks are laughingly bad. GT6 offered better use of more realized refraction from reflective surfaces, but Forza Motorsport 4 had cleaner reflections, meaning it had high resolution reflective passes. Forza Motorsport 4 had a very texture-rich and extremely detailed atmosphere surrounding the tracks. GT Sport, however, had gone to extreme lengths to produce some of the most realistic virtual cars ever. I mean, zooming right into seemingly unimportant things such as windscreen washer jets reveal details that Forza Motorsport 7 is lacking. So how do the cars feel? If you were to look at GT4 and the then newcomer Forza Motorsport, GT4 offered physics and handling that were as always solid. From the slippery slopes to the rally courses, the terrain is accurately translated through the steering wheel. Forza delivered incredible and very distinct physics and handling. The cars all featured distinguished and widely varying speeds, handling, cornering, and other driving aspects. The cars felt less arcade-like than GT, and even with the assists on, the vehicles were phenomenally realistic. The physics model more precisely transfers weight during turns and requires a different learning curve than Gran Turismo. Wet weather driving was introduced in Forza Motorsport 6, along with night races, and both those modes provided an enjoyable challenge to racers. One aspect that did disappoint some fans, however, is that the conditions aren't dynamic. On the other hand, the Gran Turismo franchise generally has always won out in driving physics. The handling felt better than ever, and that's why we enjoyed playing Gran Turismo 6 more than Forza Motorsport 5. But not for Forza Motorsport 6. This was a different story. The gameplay and physics were amazing. The cars felt like it had weight, tires felt like they had a limit, and the puddles changed everything when you'd hit them. A recipe well built on with Forza Motorsport 7. Gran Turismo Sport, even with its stunningly detailed cars, lacked with variety and car selection in comparison to Forza Motorsport 7. Over 700 for Forza versus the 162 for Gran Turismo. That is a low car count on Gran Turismo Sport, even by its own standard. Gran Turismo 6 boasted over 1,000 different models and variations. Forza's sheer variety of cars was incredible. Everything from a classic F1 Legends to racing trucks can be collected in Forza 7. Whilst GT Sport sticks with its more midget diet of racing cars and selected road models. It's the same story with the tracks. Gran Turismo brought 17 to the table, whereas Forza Motorsport delivered 30. Gran Turismo 6 to us offered more pacing and structure than Forza Motorsport 5. It also excelled in the track department, featuring 37 different courses with multiple configurations, from real-life locations to its famous fantasy tracks. Polyphony's Racer offered a sensational roster of racing opportunities, almost 3 times more than Forza's selection. Both game series let you fiddle, tweak and twinker with the cars to your heart's content. If mechanical tuning options were the only thing under consideration, Gran Turismo's marginally broader options would enable it to win its category by a hair. But factor in Forza's phenomenal visual customization that enables users to create everything from crazy custom library to replica racing regalia. And the American racers surges forward to take the flag. Now to look at some polls, numbers and reviews. We were looking at a few polls and the opinions were strongly pointing towards Forza Motorsport as being the preferred racing game series. Now in terms of comparing these two franchises, we were looking at critical and commercial reception in the form of VG Charts sales data. The numbers are as follows. With Gran Turismo, the highest critic score in the series is still with Gran Turismo for the PS1 at a 9.5 out of 10. And highest total shipped units sitting firmly with Gran Turismo 3 at 14.89 million units. With the Forza Motorsport series, the highest critic score is tied with a 9.2 for Forza Motorsport on the original Xbox and for Forza Motorsport 3 on the 360. For the highest total shipped units, we have to source this data from the Video Game Sales Wiki with a reported 2.274 million units sold for Forza Motorsport 2. Now, Gran Turismo was one of the most exquisite races to ever hit the original PlayStation. Met with critical praise, a counterpoint to the racing games that tilted towards the comical cartoon characters driving around wacky tracks with speed boosts and power-ups. The real driving simulator of the time with attention to detail and a keen interest in reality and creating that unique experience. Its impact can't be understated. Gran Turismo's scope was honestly quite unprecedented. Need for Speed 2 released in early '97, boasts 9 licensed cars. Gran Turismo had 140, all of their own tuning options, racing modifications and nuanced handling. It also had 11 tracks, all squashed in a compact disc. It was legitimately hard to comprehend. Before Gran Turismo, they were mainly arcade races with very little simulation. Gran Turismo forever changed the scene. With its release, gamers had to go into driving school, win races, earn new cars and continue that winning streak to further modify their collection of cars. Customizing your own car was one of the big game changers. From the suspension and tires to complete engine builds, players had the options available to them. I still recall going as far as tweaking each individual gear to gain an edge during a race against friends. The franchise has appeared in every generation in the PlayStation video game consoles, even spawning online racing tournaments, where the winners are given a chance to complete an actual real-life races. Gran Turismo redefined what we expected from a racing game and remains the blueprint upon which even today's console racing sims are based. Gran Turismo 3 to us was a good example of quality over quantity, and we think this is what people wanted Gran Turismo 5 to be. While it's down to content over GT2, it makes up by making the most out of its content. The menus were easily to shift through and had better driving physics than GT Force. That kept the gameplay fun. The Gran Turismo series created a racing game movement, one which a lot of races and simulators followed. But Forza Motorsport took the genre forward, especially with Forza Motorsport 4. The series to us truly peaked at this point. After the iconic Motorsport 3, this was an absolute legend and predated the not-so-great Motorsport 5. The only issue was the lack of DLC content availability, as most of the old server features are down. However, you can still race online, join clubs and complete the career mode as many times as you want. Microsoft has proven that they are a force to be reckoned with the Forza series, especially with their latter installments. This threw Gran Turismo off in a sense, the once uncontested franchise. The first game raced into the scene in 2005 as an Xbox exclusive and featured over 200 licensed cars, ranging from a Honda Civic Type R to a Audi R8. One of the big features that Forza offered was car damage. This changed how you played the game because you couldn't simply hit the wall or bump another car without consequence. On top of that, you had the iconic tracks and brilliant multiplayer to keep driving fanatics hooked for hours on end. Forza hasn't been around nearly as long as Gran Turismo, but it's been the unquestioned flag bearer for the Xbox racing games at the time and has definitely challenged and to us surpassed the old king. It's tough choosing between two of the best racing game simulators in the market, but in the end Forza Motorsport as a series edges out its closest competitor Gran Turismo. We agree that there are less cars as a whole and perhaps they're represented less faithfully, but the soundtrack, with the exception of GT 1 and 2 to us, is better. The worlds are more diverse and interesting to explore, and each little bump and scratch on a pristine body of your ride looks much more realistic and satisfying. Forza to us remained more consistent in comparison. It's more polished and deservingly edges the once dominant Gran Turismo. Forza versus Gran Turismo has been one of the great gaming rivalries of recent times. This is partly due to their similar gameplay approaches. But another massive part of it, of course, is the role they both played in the so-called console wars. Thank you so much for watching the Cybercom gaming comparisons. We know Forza Motorsport and Gran Turismo means a lot to a lot of people, and again, this was just from our perspective. We're always keen to hear from you guys though, so let us know in the comments below and what your thoughts are around everything that was covered in this comparison. And as always, if you've liked this video, please consider hitting that like button, bell notification, and if not subscribed, please consider subscribing for future uploads. That's all from us guys. You guys must have an awesome week. Take care.